What's good, everyone, and welcome back to another reaction video. We're going to continue on with We Solved FNAF, and we're not kidding. So, yeah, this is going to be interesting. And from obvious look at this tile right here, we're just going to see the last Aftons get scooped. So this is basically William and Michael getting offed. One by Springlock and the other by, well, the Scooper. Yeah, the Scooper. So, not too much off, but I guess we're going to see how this goes. So, if you enjoyed this reaction video, hit the like button down below. Hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content provided, and so on and so forth. Hit the notification button, be notified immediately when a new video comes out. And if there's any videos you would like for me to react to, put it down in the comment section below, and I'll react to it as soon as possible. And the link to this video is going to be down in the description below. So if you want to see this video before, after, and whatnot, then just go ahead and look in the description because it's going to be down there, the link to this video. So with this all said, let's start this video, shall we?
It's after the closure of Freddy's that Circus Baby's Pizzeria is opened, but it's only open for a day. Why? 'Cause Elizabeth fucked up by dying, that's why. It's the late 80s, possibly early 90s, and William is ready to continue his experiments.
They haven't kind of her dying. That's yep. Honestly, thought they got past this part, but I guess I was mistaken. So it was 3 people who died. Got it.
He's got the original animatronics shoved up in the old Freddy's location, watched over by night guards to make sure they don't escape. In the meantime, he begins work on the Funtime animatronics. They're built specifically to capture children, as seen on the blueprints. They all have technology fitted in solely to serve this function. Funtime Foxy was already mentioned, but Ballora is given deter and misdirect remote activation, showing that she was meant as a distraction, most likely to any adults in the area. Funtime Freddy and Circus Baby both have their spaces to store children in their stomachs, as well as sensors in order to count the children and adults in the area. Freddy specifically has parental tracking, as well as voice mimic/luring, similar to Foxy. These are the full intentions of these things. They are made to kidnap children, and it's specifically for these death experiments. Because when we see the blueprints of the Scooper, we see it specifically equipped with a remnant injector and remnant reservoir.
Well, that's obvious. The Ballora is more something special to Afton, considering the fact that it was modeled after his wife and whatnot. So, just point that out. Because that seems like an important piece of information.
William fully knows about Remnant now, and he's working to inject the Funtimes with as much of it as possible. But the animatronics only work for one day. Circus Babies opens with a party, and Elizabeth Afton attends. William, knowing how dangerous this stuff was, told Elizabeth to under no circumstances go play with Baby alone. So of course she goes to play with Baby alone. She doesn't understand the danger of these animatronics after all. Cassidy died when she was a toddler, and these are her daddy's creations. How could they be bad? Then she ends up alone with Baby, and Baby does what she's programmed to do. Kidnap any child left alone. But it doesn't work. Baby fucks up, or Elizabeth fights too much, or something wasn't programmed properly. Or maybe she was programmed to kill immediately after all, because instead of just kidnapping her, the Scooper inside of Baby brutally kills Elizabeth. William immediately closes the restaurant, claiming this is due to a gas leak. And hell, maybe it was, if he's got nightmare gas laying around after all. People started reporting seeing strange things around the place. Just as William brings the Funtimes back to his nice little bunker, he realizes that Elizabeth isn't gone. Baby's eyes have gone from blue to Elizabeth's green. The experiments are working. He's put Elizabeth into Circus Baby. But he needs to learn more. See, Elizabeth is in Circus Baby, definitely. But she's not Elizabeth. Not quite.
She doesn't remember him. She barely remembers anything. That won't do. He can't just have his daughter's soul living on. He needs his daughter. It's also possible that this is why she has what appears to be a Mimic 1 chip. She wasn't acting right, so he wanted to program her to, but that's a whole discussion for another time.
The Mimic! The Mimic!
So Willy Boy starts renting out the animatronics as a cover.
A mimic chip. Yeah? Yeah, I think that was discussed by game theory at one point. I might be wrong. I can't remember on top of my head, to be honest. But I do remember that those chips were very important, very valuable, and they're related to the Mimic or something.
While still doing experiments and figuring out what's going on. As he does, he realizes that he's forgotten something important. His last remaining kid, Michael. Michael's an adult now, and he's either moved out or was kicked out. He has his own place in a nice neighborhood where the residents seem to like him, but he's still under his father's influence. He's not in the bunker. We know that from his message to William that he had to be told where it is. But where he is Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. He took a job at the old Freddy's, working as a security guard after the disappearance of Phone Guy under the name Mike Schmidt, but his tampering with the animatronics and his depression stinkiness was noticed and reported. Maybe he was indeed starting to rebel a bit by figuring out what was happening with them. Maybe he was trying to retrieve parts for his father's experiments, and only after this all went down did William pull a T. Hanos and say, "Fine, I'll do it myself." It's mainly a good chance that he was actually obeying Phone Guy's last request and checking in on the animatronics for, more bodies. But more importantly, just before he gets fired, Michael starts seeing Cassidy again, appearing as Fredbear. Cassidy is appearing in and out of his field of vision, screaming, "It's me." Cassidy has been a wandering soul for maybe a decade now, and he's probably forgotten himself, but he recognizes Michael. He recognizes his brother, and he's screaming, trying to get his attention. Michael, however, doesn't mention this to his father. Last time he saw Golden Freddy, he got Nightmare Gas fun time, but it doesn't matter anyway because he gets fired and William gets notified.
William decides to cut the whole security guard thing over there. Can't have anyone else tampering with the animatronics after all. He'll take care of Michael, and he'll take care of the animatronics. First, he makes sure Fredbear is safe in the bunker. Now that Cassidy's hidden, William can't just leave the animatronics there alone, so he goes, night by night, and rips them apart. Lures them to the back room they can't enter and tears off their limbs one by one. And once they're ripped apart, he can use those parts to advance the fun times. He can use their remnant to advance the fun times. He starts injecting the remnant of the missing children into the fun times, but in doing this, he fucks up again. When making the toys, he still knew which parts went where. Now he's melting down all of the children into one glob and splitting it up again, breaking the souls into something confused, angry, and even more hostile than before. But this time, they recognize him outside of the spring Bonnie suit. They remember him as the FNAF 2 day guard, and they know who he is and what he's done. Baby's been injected with some of the remnant too, and she has little to no memories of being Elizabeth.
Something happened when there was one. A little girl, standing by herself. I was no longer...
In all honesty, I think it's like every other animatronic. Like Elizabeth, or I guess in this case, Circus Baby had her own separate thing, and William used the remnant and injected it into like the other Funtime animatronics, such as Funtime Freddy, Funtime Foxy, Funtime Chica, and maybe Ballora. Because no matter what, Elizabeth seems to know who William is in FNAF 6. Maybe delay memory recollection? Recognition? Whatever the proper word is. I had it on the tip of my tongue, but I think I got the wrong word. That's really annoying. Not gonna lie. It is really annoying when you have the right word on the tip of your tongue, but it turns out to not be the right one, and you're saying something else.
myself. And I stopped singing. I still hear her sometimes.
She knows Afton as the guy who's shocking her and forcing her to do things she doesn't want to do.
Sometimes I don't understand why people do the things that they do.
They're all hostile to him now, and it's not safe for him to be down there. But he still wants to fix Elizabeth. So, well, time to kill two birds with one stone. Or more aptly, kill one bird to resurrect another.
He goes to Michael. He goes to his son, his little precious baby boy that he totally 100% loves so much, and tells him that he can make up for the sins of his past. He can bring back Elizabeth, put her back together. All he has to do is go down there and fix her. Go down there and get himself killed. He knows the Fun Times want to kill him. He knows they're going to mistake Michael for him. Michael's an adult now, and he looks a lot like his dad. They'll attack Michael instead, and either he'll fix Elizabeth or die trying. Michael, of course, jumps at the chance. Michael wants to believe his dad, and more than that, he wants to believe that he can bring his sister back, bring both of his siblings back. He started this with his prank on Cassidy, and now he can fix it.
In the meantime, William goes back to the FNAF location. And by meantime, I mean this could have happened literally any time between sending Michael off and FNAF 3. He's ripped all the animatronics apart by now, but he could use the extra parts. And more importantly, it's time to finally go back for that spring Bonnie suit. Why else would he be in that back room specifically? Golden Freddy's not there. Spring Bonnie is. What he doesn't expect is to see ghosts there. The MCI are mostly in the Fun Times, confused and lost. You know who isn't? Charlie. Charlie is still the puppet, and she's pissed. She was here just to protect the innocent, and William's taken everything from them again. Taken their lives apart, broken them when they had finally found themselves. Now, the question of what exactly happens in William's death minigame is vague. The MCI are in the Fun Times by now, so how could their ghosts be there? We know they're in the Fun Times, as in the FNAF 6 Insanity ending, Henry talks specifically about how William took everything away from his victims again. We know William made the Fun Times because of the dialogue at the beginning of Sister Location, and that he was alive right before Sister Location because the animatronics recognize Michael as him.
Is it the same person?
So how do these timelines cross? How are the ghosts there and not there? Is it possible he dies post-Sister Location after Enter Escape and split from Baby? Okay, but the MCI are just as confused within Molten Freddy as they are within the Fun Times. They might be somehow less aware by that point. How are they supposed to astral project over to Afton? To be honest, the correct answer is probably Cawthon didn't think this part through because he was making up the lore as he went along. LMAO. But from a Watsonian perspective, I see 4 options. 1. Charlie managed to get just enough of the ghosts in one place to piss off Afton. 2. Cassidy has already projected images of Fredbear to people before. Maybe he or Charlie are projecting those images to scare the fuck out of him. 3. These are the agony remnants of the kids, while only the remnant was taken away, which would be complicated. 4. Afton just snuffed some nightmare gas prior to his death and is hallucinating literally all of this. Nightmare gas sure is handy. But I do believe that Charlie is the 5th ghost that confronts William, not Cassidy. Cassidy is still wandering and lost. And at this point, he's shut off completely. Cut off from the world, hidden underground, he has nowhere to wander except his own mind.
Cassidy relives his fading memories over and over, walking between home and Fredbear.
Now, you see that? That is where things get to the point where I don't think that's the truth. Like, I don't believe that would be the case, since, I don't know. It honestly makes 0 sense. Like, it's obvious that Michael starts the whole sister location thing after Afton gets spring locked. Now, the reason why he goes down there might be different from what they're saying. It could be this, but in all honesty, it just feels like Michael was left in the dark. And bam. Just straight up getting involved like last second. At least that's what I believe. But for this case scenario, yeah, that is a bit weird. Because the whole thing with the fun times can only begin when the animatronics get the remnant, like, sticked into them. So that does raise a question. But the answer might be simple, that the remnant that was put in was just like happy memories, positive ones, and these ghosts were just one thing only. Agony. Like, these were just the agony of them that was just left behind because they were divided so much and just like trying to be put back together in a way. And it left to this point where their agony was still at the pizzeria, wanting to finish off what they were set to do, their one goal in mind, to torture Afton. Which is why I don't think that Charlie would be involved with this, since A, due to her character, it would probably be impossible for her to be there, since she wasn't put through the agony that the 5 missing children went through. And this would explain how the crying child wouldn't be there either. His thing isn't related to agony. It would be something else completely, and I feel like that would explain what's going on for his role in this scenario. I might be wrong. I'm not gonna lie, say I know the truth, I know everything, but I feel like this might be the correct answer.
Home and Fredbear's. Fredbear is everywhere. Fredbear is always watching. And at night, he wanders the halls of his father's bunker, hiding from monsters that aren't there, that he's already become. What I believe Didophobia, Coming Home, and Alone Together were trying to tell us was that FNAF 4 may have been Cassidy reliving the events leading up to his death. Susie goes through the same wandering phase, highly detailed. So does Travis. But instead of actually wandering, Cassidy is reliving, wandering the same halls like Rory, and always managing to, like Susie, return to Freddy's, and then start all over again. His spirit is attached to the suit, hidden away, but his body is elsewhere and he's stuck wandering, waiting to be found.
But the point is that at some point, William gets to FNAF and starts seeing ghosts. He begins freaking out. He's been experimenting with spirits, but he hasn't seen any yet. He's seen moving animatronics not fully realized specters of the children he murdered, especially Charlotte. He had no reason to kill her, it was fully in cold blood. And in that cold blood, he created the puppet, who brought all of these killer robots to life. The ghosts are after him now, and he doesn't know what they can do. He gets into the Spring Bonnie suit still in the back room, hoping that it will either scare them into submission or fool them into thinking he's one of them. But the spring locks have gotten way worse over the years of neglect, and upon laughing once, William is spring-locked and killed, left to bleed out slowly in an abandoned, locked back room, with the ghosts of his past staring down at him.
Michael, meanwhile, is having just about as fun of a time.
No pun intended.
These animatronics have put their heads together and gotten themselves a great old plan. Disembowel the guy who's hurting them, wear him as a skin suit, and get the hell out of the bunker that's electrocuting them over and over.
Sounds
They're
right.
like 7 years old, they don't know that bodies decay. This is a great idea to them.
Remember the multiple gas cans of nitrous oxide in Sister Location?
There are some technical reasons it could be there. It's got many uses, including in mechanics, pumping it into pipes, using it in active machinery, but the fact that it is shown specifically in Ruin is raising several alarm bells that it is important. Mainly that it is being pumped directly into the room, as seen by the smoke Cassie runs through. The question is, of course, why would they be pumping the gas into the scooping room? So, one of nitrogen's usage is food preservation. It keeps organic material fresh, which can include human bodies. Liquid nitrogen, specifically, was used in the first cryogenic freezing and preservation in 1966. Now, again, why would they be pumping a body preservative in the scooping room? Were the Fun Times planning to preserve Michael's body? Well, no, they took that body out of the scooper and planned to never return. Also, they didn't build the nitrogen pipes, they just kind of lived down there. So what was it for? Well, you know who William was actively trying to bring back specifically in the bunker? Elizabeth, who was trapped inside of Circus Baby, a possessed robot with a weird fascination with the scooping room.
I wonder, though, if you were a freshly opened pint of ice cream, how you would feel about something with that name. Thankfully, I don't think a freshly opened pint of ice cream feels anything at all.
We see Circus Baby's exoskeleton in Night 5, no body to be seen, and no signs of decay like the original animatronics. Is it possible that, after Elizabeth was captured and mangled, William had to scoop Baby in order to get her out? Elizabeth could have, possibly, felt herself being scooped from the inside and out at the same time.
The scooper only hurts for a moment.
It's possible that the nitrogen was able to be pumped in order to preserve Elizabeth. It's entirely possible that her body was still down there in the bunker. We also know Scrap Baby had to return there at some point in order to repair herself, hence the parts of Baby exoskeleton and lights from the control room which weren't present in Ennard. If, say, she found herself the way Travis did in Alone Together, that could explain why she seems a bit more aware in FNAF 6. The sedative part of nitrogen could have also been utilized by Baby in her plan to scoop Michael, firstly to keep him asleep in Night 4,
You've been sleeping for quite a while.
then to keep him compliant as
Yeah, that bit could make sense. I mean, our character is supposed to fall asleep, is knocked out, and all that around the previous night, and we just wake up and find ourselves in a suit. Like, what the heck? And the time we wake up is immediately when we're supposed to start a job. Coincidence? I think not. Because if it is, that's a weird coincidence, to be honest.
they scooped him.
And, as we know, in the canon timeline, it works. Michael listens to Circus Baby, knowing his sister is in there. She doesn't recognize him, though, and just like the others, probably sees him as his father. And Michael gets clued into this. The animatronics, after 4 nights of putting their plan together and shoving Michael into Golden Freddy, come on guys, finally lure Michael into the scooper. That day, they'd scooped themselves and killed any employees around. They then scooped Michael himself, ready to use him as their cool new skin suit to escape. And it's gonna be a while before any people realize they're gone. They've killed all the employees, and William's dead in a back room. The bunker is hidden. Michael mentions in his phone call that he had to find the place, right where William said it would be. Who's gonna realize what happened until it's too late?
Their plan works for about a week, until the body starts, decaying and vomits up the endoskeleton into the sewers, to skitter around like Pennywise until they get tired of each other's shit.
Then
Yeah.
something
Or, like, maybe they just didn't trust Circus Baby and or Elizabeth at all, since they've been aware of each other and acknowledge each other. So that might be another case to really think about. Them just only tolerating each other until they escape. Seems like the most likely situation, because if they found out who Elizabeth was, yeah. I highly doubt they'll trust her.
unexpected happens. Something William didn't anticipate. Michael gets up. And let's talk about why. A lot of people chalk this up to the remnant injector on the scooper, but I really don't think that's it. It may give him the metal necessary to possess a corpse rather than a bot, at least for now, but the remnant itself isn't his own. It's someone else's remnant in him, not allowing him to possess himself. The remnants of Ennard's metal might help, but it really seems that the possession wasn't an accident. It was Michael himself. Michael forces himself back into his own decaying corpse out of sheer determination and sheer fury.
It actually could be a mixture of that with whatever the scooper can bring up. I think it just allows Michael the capability to use his body again, as long as he has that sheer determination and will. Otherwise, pretty much that person would be dead. They would just need a strong sense of determination to form. If that makes sense.
Let's really look at Michael's message to his dad.
Father, it's me, Michael. I did it. I found it. It was right where you said it would be. They were all there. They didn't recognize me at first, but then they thought I was you. And I found her. I put her back together, just like you asked me to. She's free now. But something is wrong with me. I should be dead, but I'm not. I've been living in shadows. There is only one thing left for me to do now. I'm going to come find you. I'm going to come find you.
The first part of the quote is said sadly, desperately. I did it. I did what you asked me to do. I did it well. I did what you wanted. Just like I did when I was a child at home trying to avoid your anger. I did it. Right where you said it would be. I should have made you proud. But then I realized who was there. They were all there. All the souls you killed. The ones I didn't think were inside this bunker. And they thought I was you. Michael says this with a lot of emphasis on you, hinting at a dark amusement followed by a scoff. He lets out a half laugh, half sigh, disdainful. This could also read as a cough, I guess, but our boy isn't breathing by this point, so I don't think he would need to. He then says she's free now. In saying that, it's become clear that despite Elizabeth and the Fun Times literally ripping him open, he doesn't seem to blame them for what's happened to him. He's not saying she escaped or she did this to me, only that she's free now, because he doesn't blame her. He is okay that his sister is free. What he's not okay with is the next thing he says. Something is wrong with me. I should be dead, but I'm not. I've been living in shadows. Then, there is only one thing left for me to do now. I'm going to come find you. The line is repeated for emphasis, and the second time it's said slower and with more venom.
Yeah.
A lot of venom. On the FNAF wiki, it's marked as ominous voice. It is not a simple self-invitation. It is a threat.
I've had people tell me he sounds confused in this section, but it does not sound like confusion to me.
I'm gonna have to agree. Why would someone say Michael's confused? When I heard it, it sounded like he was pissed as hell. I just don't understand why someone would say he's, like, confused. That makes no sense. To me, it sounded like he was pissed when I first heard it. To even now, it just sounds like he's just pissed at William, and he's going to come and find him. And it's basically that situation. You go, you do not want to know what I will do once I find you and have you within my fucking hands. That kind of thing.
The only real confusion I can kind of hear is in something is wrong with me, but that is probably just on the grounds of I should be dead, but I'm not. What he's not confused about is what happened before the scooper. He recounts in the call that he remembers what his father said to him, the mission given to him, the events leading up to the scooper, the fact he was killed and Ennard escaped, and the fact he is still here. He is not confused on that. He is very, very certain. What is even more certain is that he is going to find William.
When he says that, it's not him simply telling his dad he's heading over to ask what the fuck was up with that bunker. He's not going over there to find Elizabeth with him. He's going over there to punish him. Because Michael is the one he should not have killed.
Okay, now that's a stretch. Even to me. No. This next part, I obviously know what's going to happen. I obviously know what they're going to discuss. They're going to talk that Michael's going to be the vengeful spirit, and that is effing cap. Michael is more of a character that just wants to be done with this. He just wants to move on. He just wants to get this over with, move on with his life, and pass on once and for all. That is basically what it sounds like. The fact that someone would say that isn't the case, I'm gonna be honest, you must be capping me. Because there's no way that's possible. Not only, as I mentioned, he doesn't really care, he just wants this over with. He wants the peace for the others and for himself. Yeah, that kind of thing. Now, other than this, ridiculous thing saying that Michael is the vengeful spirit, and going into more of a what would be the correct way to say this? Well, other than that, it would make no sense to say that any of the other children would be the vengeful spirit. Because in the end, the vengeful spirit must truly and absolutely hate William. And I don't see the others having that kind of feeling. Sure, they hate him, but they just probably want to be done with him and just move on, get some rest and whatnot. But no, this is why I think Cassie isn't the crying child, it's someone else. Their own personality, their own character, anything like that. Mainly because I don't see the crying child being able to do it. Simply due to the fact that, okay, maybe he could have, but I don't think that would be the case. I think it would be more targeted to Michael than anything else. But since it's William, nah. It has to be Cassidy, who is, like, as I said before, not the crying child. So yeah, that's what I think about this situation. But with all this said, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button down below, hit the subscribe button to support the channel, support the content provided, and so on and so forth. Hit the notification button, be notified immediately when your video comes out. And other than that, tell me what you think in the comment section below, as I said before. And as a reminder, the link to this video is going to be down in the description below. So with all this said, I hope you all enjoy, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!